Vijay?
Yes, Bernard.
At the end of the presentation, I've put a little click through to the website.
Yep.
Will that automatically come up on the screen, or will I have to adjust the sharing when the website comes up?
It should automatically come up.
Okay. Now I thought we could just complete with the video.
That's correct. I think it should automatically come up, but
we'll see.
Nevertheless.
Technology.
Okay. Yeah. So you had a good day?
It's very quiet here this morning, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and obviously our visitor later. So yeah, it's going to be a very positive morning.
Yeah, that's great.
You all right? You have a reasonable night? Well, part of the night.
I woke up at like 5 o'clock. So it's 5:30 now. So
yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
I was quite robust with the marketing colleagues yesterday.
Fair.
So I hope that was appropriate.
Somebody has to be. So fair. Glenny, sir. So there is 1 minute to go. Are we going to start, or do you think we need to wait?
Sir, just I am making him as a presenter, sir. Just a minute, sir. Just now.
We still don't have the chat bar.
2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, we still don't have the chat bar, sir. So if you can look into that, that would be great.
Sir, what, sir?
We still don't have the chat bar function in the Teams call. There are people coming in.
Yeah.
So maybe we will give it like a few more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of more minutes, and then I think it's also because they are also having a YouTube link.
Yeah.
As well. Chat bar would be very useful.
Yeah, I'd like to do it for that little question piece at the early part of the presentation, really. If we can't, we can't. We'll work our way through it.
Maybe it is available, but we don't see it.
Well, if you can't see it, we can't read it. That's the problem.
Yeah. Uglen, sir, you are with us. It's already time.
Yes, sir. Just 1 minute, sir. Yes, Jeffreen, you can start, Jeffreen. Jeffreen, you can start.
Am I audible?
Yes, Jeffreen.
Okay. Good morning to one and all present here. Panimalar Engineering College.
Jeffreen, you are unaudible. You are unmute, I think. Your voice is not clear, Jeffreen.
Okay, so 1 second.
It's okay now.
Good morning to one and all. Panimalar Engineering College welcomes you to this awareness program on business startup in association with Birmingham City University, United Kingdom. We welcome our honorable chief guest, Mr. Curren, Birmingham City University, Dr. Vijay Venkatesh, Birmingham City University, Dr. C. Sakti Kumar, Director, PEC, Dr. K. Mani, Principal, PEC, Dr. S. Malati, HOD, PEC, Dr. Suveda, HOD, CSC, PIT, Dr. Aaron, Coordinator, EDC, PIT, Dr. N. Pugulendi, Coordinator, EDC, PEC.
Dr. Venkatesh Chennam Vijay from Birmingham City University leads the Knowledge-Based Engineering Lab under the School of Engineering. His expertise involves virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, artificial intelligence, embedded systems, and developing educational tools using a gaming environment. He has secured and been part of several successful grants in the field of visualization, decision support systems, and virtual and augmented reality. Currently, he has been working in the STEAMOuse India initiative established by Munja family-run BCM Foundation and Birmingham City University at Ludhiana, India, namely the Munja Birmingham University Center of Innovation in Entrepreneurship to promote innovative education, industrial innovation, and startups in the region. Now, I would like to request Dr. Venkatesh Chennam Vijay to inaugurate this program.
Many thanks, ma'am, for the introduction. I would like to start this presentation by thanking Shakti Kumar, Dr. Shakti Kumar, the director. So he's been one of the sole believer in this collaboration. So many thanks, sir, for putting us in this initiative. So this is an awareness program, and I would really encourage you guys to be more interactive, ask more questions on the startup program that we have initiated through MBCIE. We have Bernard Curren with us. I should say my colleague, but one of the well-known in this area of startups. So he has actually done this successfully in UK. Now a great responsibility to actually take his knowledge to India. I'm so happy that he is in India, and I'm not. I'm in UK, so that's the background. So it's 5:30 in the morning. He's there in India, running this course. I'll join him in a week's time. So we are here, and I really appreciate you guys to as much as gain through this awareness session. Please make it more interactive. So thanks for my time, and I would also like to thank Dr. Malati and Dr. Pugulendi for putting this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard Curren has over 40 years of experience in creating, growing, and exiting successful enterprises. He has accomplished company director operating in roles varying from sales director through managing director to board chair, enabling him to fully understand the governance, strategic, and operational oversight requirements within a variety of commercial business. He has enjoyed the privilege of providing advice, coaching, and mentoring guidance to over 1,000 businesses in various roles from non-executive to formal consultant, sharing advice and guidance with a focus on scalability, performance, and management development. During his first government he developed and piloted the Starting in Business workshop program, which became the National Starting in Business Service. He holds the qualifications and memberships like Master Certificate in Strategic Management, a member of the Institute of Innovation and Knowledge Exchange, also a member of Chartered Management Institute. Now, I would like to request our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Bernard Curren, to give a talk.
Thank
You're
you so
mute.
much for that wonderful introduction. Let's get straight into the presentation, and hopefully I can help you, the audience today, to consider what it means to start an enterprise from a slightly different perspective. My name is Bernard Curren. I have to start by saying a huge thank you to Dr. Sakti Kumar, your director. It's a real privilege to have the opportunity to introduce some of this awareness subject to you all today. And I should also send a big thank you to everybody who's attended this morning. Business is really exciting. One of the most challenging and rewarding experiences you'll ever get into is trying to start a business of your own. Hopefully I can offer you a little bit of insight today into some of the bits you might not be aware of, and you can take away a little bit more experience from the session than you had before we began. Okay, so the outline of the workshop today, it's going to take about an hour. Firstly, I'd like to think about why we want to go into self-employment, starting our own business, why we want to do it on our own. Then think about what it takes to run a business, think about business ideas, what planning and regulatory frameworks do we need to consider if we want to run successful businesses. What about money, finances? How do we manage it? Where do we find it? How do we make sure we've got enough? How do we make sure we've got a viable business that's got cash running in and out of it? And how do we plan? How do we make a business plan that actually makes sense and enables us to create success? So that's the basic outline we're going to run through today. First thing I'd like to ask, it's a bit of a shame I can't see the screen with the way we're presenting today. So normally I would ask the guests and colleagues here today to think about why they would want to go into self-employment, start their own business, create a new enterprise. And we think about two areas. One is the positives, the fours. What are the positive aspects? And then we think as a group, what are the challenges, the difficult things that perhaps might not make it such a wonderful experience. And often what I find is people are motivated in the positive line by the opportunity to achieve their own success, to create value and wealth and money for themselves, to create that sense of achievement, often to provide societal benefit, often to enable them to have the flexibility of time to work in timelines that are more appropriate to their personal situation, thinking about how they support their family, etc. And then when we start to think about some of the challenges, some of the more difficult issues around starting business, people start to discuss things like, well, where do I get money to start a business from? How do I cope with all the stress and difficulty? How do I cope with my personal relationships when I'm probably going to be working very long hours? So I think it's a really important area that we need to look at and consider before we even step into the world of trying to start a business. And typically these are the answers. I've been doing this program now for over 20 years in the UK. I developed it for the UK government. And they're very consistent, the answers that come back. People want to earn money, they want flexibility, the choice of being their own boss, the independence, the sense of achievement, the empowerment. For some, it's about control, so they're actually in control of their own situation. And yes, for some people, it can be a status symbol to be a successful entrepreneur running your own business. But then we've got the balance, because this is all about balance. What about the fear of failing as a businessman? That can be quite a challenge. Got very long hours. Typically, you're working 24/7, 365 days a week. It's a total commitment if you really want to make a business work from the beginning. The responsibilities, you might have staff, you might have suppliers, you might have customers. Huge responsibility to make sure that you're satisfying the needs of everyone involved in the business. The stress and insecurity that can be involved with that. It's very hard work. Strangely, you can be wrapped around an awful lot of people, but actually at the top of an organization, when you're the boss, it can be a very lonely place. You need to find those mentors and support networks that can really help you, which is where incubators and sites like the MCMI really come into play to give people starting business a sense of commonality and community with like-minded individuals. And there are challenges of risks and money, and the classic one that comes up every time is people have great ideas, but they don't have the business knowledge to actually convert those ideas into fantastic, successful businesses. So it's just a little bit of a different insight. It's not how to do it, but you need to think about the emotional and empathetic side of why you are getting into starting a business, and think about your drivers and what's going to empower you and give you the passion to make your business a success. Some of the key things that we've identified in successful startup businesses are the clarity of the individual owner's skill and vision, the skills that they bring to the enterprise and the vision they provide for the enterprise about what it's doing, where it's going, and what its purpose is. What knowledge comes into the business is very important. We can explore that a little more in depth. The experience you can bring in. But there are elements of luck, drive, enthusiasm, and the passion and enthusiasm is so important. A colleague shared in our masterclass we did earlier this year, Retief Agarwal, he said there are 3 P's that drive the successful entrepreneur: passion, patience, and persistence. And that's so true. But I think you've got to have a sense of humor as well, because things are going to go wrong. And please apologize, my little joke in this slide. This is a gentleman who's gone to his bank manager and asked for a small business loan, and he got $1. And the bank manager said, yes, of course, it's a small business loan. I find that quite amusing. So what does it take? Skills and vision. We all have left and right-sided dominance in our brain. And depending on that dominance, we will have a more creative dominance or a more practical applied dominance. And actually, one of the things that skilled entrepreneurs need to achieve is a balance so that they can bring forward the creative and innovative skills of identifying challenges and finding creative and innovative solutions that improve the quality of product and service to the customer against the practical side of how to do it. It's something that needs to be learned. It's a skill that you need to practice, balancing your creative and practical side of your brain. You need to learn basic business skills. Everybody goes into a business with a great idea. In India is the 3rd largest by volume startup country in the world. One of the problems is that a significant proportion of those startups fail. About 75% will fail within the first 3 years. And that's predominantly because people don't have these basic business skills. How do I manage money? How do I manage logistics? How do I manage my selling? How do I sell things to people? How do I market my products and services? How do I recruit great people? All these business skills for most early stage businesses are not yet acquired, and you need to learn them fast. You need to understand people. Business is all about people, whether they're your suppliers, your staff, or your customers. The bottom line of all of it is they're all people. You need to understand, you need to be empathetic and clearly engage with people at a level which allows you to understand their motives, their motivations, their needs, desires, wants, so that you can become a solution provider to all those people around you. And you need to provide clear vision. Where is the business going? What is its purpose? And you need to create a pathway, a stepping stone pathway of goals that clearly get you to where you need to be. It looks easy on paper. Most of this, with most of the business startups I've worked with, need to be learnt, because these are not natural skills that you would bring from elsewhere. We might have some knowledge that we bring from other places. We might have a great business idea. That's knowledge. We might have great knowledge we've learned from college in our particular technical speciality. We might have some knowledge of our market or how we're going to achieve our goal of selling our products and services. We might have some experience from a local family business that perhaps our uncle, parents, family have worked in. We need to understand how to sell products and services as well, and that's often quite a challenge for people who've never been in an interface of trying to transfer a product or service to another person. Selling isn't a natural ability, it's a learnt skill. We might have experience. I've already said local family business. We might have had the privilege of helping mum and dad or uncle. That's great. Think about that experience, how you transfer it into your business. We might be looking at things like franchises, really great opportunities to start out as an entrepreneur. Bring really good quality experience from the franchise or immediately in support of you. I think someone's got a mic on somewhere. I'm getting some feedback. So a new business, you might have a great idea. That's great. Explore that idea. Think about what it means as a product or service. You might have a hobby that you really enjoy, that actually people are asking you, could you make one of those for me? Could you repair that for me? Whatever it is. That's great. How can you translate that into a business? You might look at existing activities or ideas and adopt them into new styles. The classic we're seeing around us all the time now are old ways of marketing and selling are now becoming modernized through modern devices, social media, new communication systems, artificial intelligence, for example. Think about how you can take what pre-exists and modernize it and increase the experience, the value add for the customer. You might be doing a little bit of unpaid work or whatever, bit of digital support for various people. Think about the experience you've got from that and how you can translate that into business practice. One of the biggest problems that I've found over the years is most people think they've got a great business idea, and the classic is that you have a chat with your friends and family and they say, oh yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Unfortunately, that's probably not the best validation of a business idea you'll ever have. I think we're all aware that our friends and family will always want to support us and help us to be successful. So steer clear of thinking that because your friends and family think it's a good idea, it's definitely going to be a success. You need to go much further than that. There's a typical chart we use within the business startup arena. And you need to learn all these skills. You need to learn how to place a product and service, context, potential feasibility. You need to understand the 3 C's. You need to understand your marketing mix, price, promotion, place. You need to understand your operational activities. How are you going to get things made? How are you going to store them? How are you going to send them? How are you going to get them to the customer? How are you going to wow the customer? You need to understand your money. So you need to go further than just thinking it's a great idea. You need to plan in much more depth. You can have the best idea in the world, the best product or service, but the reality is if you don't have a customer, you won't make a sale and you do not have a business. And that is the bottom line. Key questions for us all to consider. What exactly is the business idea that you have? The idea is probably not the actual product or service that you will end up delivering. So you need to get deeper into the business idea and understand how it becomes a product or service that will satisfy a need or desire in a customer group. And you need to be really precise. It's no good having an idea that I'm going to create a flying bicycle. That's a great idea. It solves the problems of the roads. But actually, how are you going to do it? What is the reality of it? And who's going to buy it? How are you going to produce the product or service? How are you going to buy the raw material? How are you going to remanufacture it? How are you going to stock the shop? How are you going to create a presence online to deliver a digital service? How are you going to think about the practical aspects of how you are going to actually produce your product or service? And what resources have you got? It's not just manpower, person power. It's also physical resources. Do you need a building? Can you work from home? Do you need equipment? Do you need a desk, a computer, a printer, whatever? Think about, build it up so that you understand what you require. How are you going to get the product or service to the customer? How are you going to get them excited so that they come banging on your door, asking for lots and lots of it? How are you going to market it? Really important and often overlooked. Customers will not buy your product or service if they don't know it exists. So you need to get the message out into the market. And how are you going to organize the business? How are you actually going to run it? Is it going to be run every day? Are you going to work 7 days a week? Are you going to work particular parts of the day? Have you got people who need to supply to you? How are you going to supply to customers? How are you going to organize that structure of getting things done every day? I'd like to go a little bit deeper now, really. We keep talking about this issue of wowing the customer and marketing and whatever. The very foundation of a good business startup is high quality market research. Market research informs so much of the rest of your business proposal and plan. So it is the foundation block of a quality startup. What you're looking for is to find out, is there a gap in the market? Is there a market that you can recognize? Is there demand? And it starts to inform you how you can fit your product alongside that gap, that market and that demand. will you be able to sell the product or service? How are you going to sell it? Do you have the skills to sell it? Are you a salesperson? Do you need to learn those skills? And who is the customer that's going to buy it? You need to be able to walk down a high street and identify your individual target customers one by one. I guarantee you, and I've heard it so many times, not everybody will want to buy your product. I remember many years ago, did a piece of consultancy for a very experienced business person who was starting a new business with a fabulously innovative hair product. And this person sat across me at the desk and said, well, everybody wants to buy my product, Mr. Curren. And then this person looked at me and realized that I don't have a lot of hair, and therefore I probably don't buy a lot of hair preparatory products. So there was a realization, you need to identify your customer. Market research is going to provide you with the basic information so that you can start to make properly informed decisions about your business and your business planning. It's going to help you establish some real fundamentals: who, what, where, when, and why. So who's going to buy the product or service? Who are the competitors? You need to ensure that you do quality competitor analysis. Your competitors can inform how you can innovate and differentiate so that your product or service is enhanced and better. What sales level can you realistically forecast from the identified market opportunity? What's the price point? Sorry, we've got a microphone on somewhere. If someone could just mute, please. What's the price point that people are prepared to pay? What does it look like? Does it enable you to have sufficient margin? And are you going to be competitive at that price point? What's the size of the potential market? How big is it? Locally, nationally, internationally? Look at the size of the markets, and then it informs you how you might take parts of that market and begins to give you an indication of sales values, volumes, and levels. Think about the customer reaction to your new product or service. How are they going to react? What do you want as a reaction? How are you going to engage that reaction? Market research is so fundamental. Who, what, where, when, why. Really important. Where's the product currently being bought or sold? So is it on a high street? Are you going to disrupt the market by delivering it direct to the door? Where and how are you going to sell the product or service? So you're going to put this online? Are you going to put it in existing retail environments? Are you going to sell it out of existing outlets? Tuk-tuk services with water sales that you've licensed through, whatever it might be. Why do people currently buy this product or service? That's the one that most people don't get to. What is, we call, in the world of marketing, we call it pains and gains. What are the pains that drive people to buy this particular product or service? What are the needs? What are the problems you're solving? So, basic foodstuffs. Do we really go to a restaurant because we're hungry? I don't think so. People go to the restaurant because they enjoy the ambience of the environment and the friendship of their colleagues joining them. So actually it's an experiential issue. It's not necessarily about the quality of the food, although that has to be good. And it's important to understand the complete package of why people buy your product and service. It's not necessarily the obvious thing that stands out at the front. And you can do market research sat at your desk. You can do reasonable market research these days. It's the beauty of the internet. But there is nothing better than getting out, going into your competitor's environment, looking, watching, observing, going and talking to potential customers and actually getting real feedback in real time. Simple tools that I think are really useful. One of them is SWOT Analysis. You might have seen these tools before. If not, please take it away and use it yourselves. Simple SWOT Analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The simplicity of this tool actually enables it to do multiple things. So you could do this for yourself. So as we looked at the beginning, why are you thinking of starting a business? And we've started to talk about some of the skills you need. You could start to plot yourself into this matrix to try and look at where the imbalance might be. Your strengths, your experiences, the things you're not quite so good at around your weaknesses, the opportunities that you have. So you've got lots of time, you might have lots of energy, you might have lots of potential routes to market. What are the threats? You might have challenges in your home life, your personal life. You might have difficulties in transport. Be realistic. Start to look at that and think about you as an individual and how you need to work on the threats and weaknesses to improve the strengths and opportunities. And use the same tool for the business. Think about the business as an entity. Think about its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Really simple tool, but actually something I think we should be doing regularly and refreshing regularly. Please take it away and use it. So then we start to think about things like planning and regulation. So if you want to start a business, and this isn't India specific, this slide, this is a very general slide, but basic structures are, we can just be a sole trader, just us running a business. We could go into a partnership with somebody else. We could limit the liability of that partnership through a formal structure. We could have a formally registered limited company, and we could do more collaborative arrangements such as cooperatives and more socially focused arrangements such as Section 8 and societies in India. They all have different challenges. So in a partnership, you might be best friends today. Where you will be in 10 years' time, you don't know. So actually, you need to go and get some guidance and advice and form a proper partnership agreement before you start. Because in 10 years' time, if the partnership gets into difficulty and there is no agreement in place, it is exceptionally difficult to undo. So think about your structures. Think about how you're going to structure your operation and move it forward. Intellectual property, licenses, financial issues. Interesting one in India. To register a business, there are 21 individual steps you need to do to get a business registered in India. You need to learn what that looks like. You need to get support and guidance on how to do that. You need to think about simple things like indemnity insurance. If things go wrong, you need insurance. You need business insurance, basic business insurance. You need to think about tax and VAT. How often do you have to report this stuff? Who do you report it to? How do you report it? You need to explore this and understand what it looks like. There is no excuse in 2 years' time, having started a successful business, to realise that, oh, unfortunately, I didn't report my tax accurately, and actually, I'm now in a bit of legal trouble. You've got to get it right at the beginning. Think about intellectual property. One thing I've witnessed in India, unlike in Europe, intellectual property is a little bit loose in the way it's managed. But actually, India is a powerful economy and is an upcoming economy. And if I was starting a business in India now, I'd be wanting to manage my intellectual property very carefully. Think about simple things like your name. If your name is already being used by a company in a similar market, don't do it. Find a different name. It's called passing off. You've got to avoid any potential infringement. Get some guidance. Come to the incubator. Allow us to support you. think about simple licenses, really simple things. So if you're going to be childminding or running a taxi tuk-tuk, if you've got a food outlet, you've got to get various licenses in place. Go and explore what they look like and make sure that you are setting the business up correctly right from the beginning. And think about data protection. In this world we live in of online media and social media, and data is everywhere. Think about your customer. Think about how you're going to protect them and manage their personal data if you ever collect any. Think about data management, really important. There are some other regulatory issues, health and safety. So in India, you've got the Factories Act, you've got the Mines Act, dock workers. Might not seem as if it's important to you. Actually, if you go and read those acts, they blend across multiple industries. You've got safety, health and environment at work regulation. You need to read it, you need to understand it, and think about the implications for your business. And you've got a new working conditions code coming through statute as we speak, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code. It's online, you can see it, go and review it, see what it might mean for your business. I'm not trying to create a scaremonger issue here, but the fact is that too many businesses start off without reviewing these kind of areas, and once you are a number of years down the road, it's very difficult to retrospectively put all this right. So I urge you to try and get it as correct as you can before you start. And again, I keep reiterating, come and use a quality incubator. A quality incubator can help you through these tasks, signpost you in the right direction, get quality mentorship. Think about money. So money's always difficult when we want to start a business. I've done it twice. It's a very difficult challenge. The starting point, in my opinion, for every small business that's starting should be your own personal survival budget. Because once you understand what you need to survive every week, every month, that gives you an indication of the minimum net profit revenues that you require to drive through the business. Everybody has a different personal survival budget, and only you can estimate what this is. I urge you, if you want to start a business, understand your personal survival budget now. Really important. Think about startup costs. Be realistic. Don't ignore them and hope that they might not happen. They will. And the reality for every business I've ever worked with is they're normally more than you thought. So be realistic, put them down on paper and start working through them as soon as they become clear. Simple things you need to think about. You might want to buy a business that already exists, franchise. A lease. What's a lease? If you want some premises, a shop, a factory unit, a storage unit, whatever it might be, you'll probably have to enter into a lease. Well, think about that. Do you want to enter into a long term? Do you want it short term? What are the costs associated with it? There's a lot involved just in that one word. Think about your stock and raw materials, particularly raw materials. Very volatile, our marketplace at the moment. Where are you going to get it? How much does it cost? How much does it cost to get to you? What are the transport costs, etc.? Think about your stock holding. How much do you need to hold to turn over sufficient against your estimated sales? Think about what that looks like, both in terms of the value of the stock, but also how you're going to store it and what are the costs of that, and the logistics of moving it around. Fixed assets. They could be computers, they could be desks and chairs, they could be vehicles, they could be all sorts. Think about what you need. You might have to redevelop some premises. Think about your working cash flow. You need cash in the bank every week to pay for certain things. You can't hope that it's there. You've got to forecast it. And think about those insurance type costs that undoubtedly you will incur. Further things, if you want to rent a shop, guess what? People want money in advance. You might have sign writing, shop fitting, you might have some telephony or connectivity, you might need to get some Wi-Fi in there, whatever. Think about vehicles. How are you going to license it? How are you going to ensure it's insured for business use and not just personal use? Advertising, marketing, promotion. What about legal and professional fees? Do you need an accountant just to run over your figures and double check for you? Do you need a bit of legal support to kind of get that partnership agreement in place? Think about all those areas, and there's probably lots more. How are you going to fund the costs that you've identified? The typical ways are listed here. The best way is if you've got any personal finance. You can take out small loans. If you've got a bit of fixed asset, property, whatever, bit of remortgaging through the bank on your personal overdraft. Friends and family might offer loan or a bit of security against some equity in the business. There are some small business startup grants in India. They appear to be quite difficult to get hold of, but again, a good incubator can help you through that. And you might have been made redundant from elsewhere and have a small sum of money. Another thing I have seen people start businesses with, but you need to be really careful, are things like credit cards. There are ways, and sometimes you have to take more than one of these, so you have to mix and match it together to try and get the amount of money that you've accrued up to that startup cost level that you've identified. One of the fundamentals of an early stage business is managing cash flow. It is actually possible for an early stage business to have poor profitability, and actually you see this in a number of startup businesses these days. Provided they've got positive cash flow, you don't necessarily need high net profit. You need to drive towards high net profit, but the one thing you do need is more cash coming into the top of the tank than you have flowing out at the bottom. If your tank is the wrong way round and your outflow is higher than your inflow, you will go bust. And most businesses that I've worked with that get into difficulty in the first 3 to 5 years is fundamentally because they haven't managed cash flow appropriately. There's some simple tricks. If you're buying off suppliers, try and get trade credit, 30, 60 days payment terms to your supplier. If your customer is paying you in immediately or within 30 days, you've immediately created a 30-day positive cash flow window. Cash flow is the killer for early stage business, but it's also the opportunity to drive success. I can't stress how important it is. Cash flow tells you where your money is now at any one point in time. It tells you where your expenditure is likely to be. It tells you where your income flows are going to be, and it takes into account all your known costs. It's a really important forecast. Typical cash flow forecast looks like that. Again, a great incubator, a great mentor will help you through this stuff. An accountant, by the way, will not normally produce a cash flow forecast. They will simply produce what is called a profit and loss forecast. And that doesn't tell you where the money is at any one particular point in time. So, last but not least, I'd like to leave you with today. I realise I've put an awful lot of information forward today. There was a big programme in the year 2000 in the UK for the millennium, turning from the 1900s to the 2000s. And the government in the UK put a huge, iconic statement building together called the Millennium Dome. The problem was there was no business plan. So the Millennium Dome was finished, and no one knew what to do with it. And the gentleman who was running the Millennium Dome at the time said, well, in reality, if you fail to plan, you probably plan to fail. And it's so true. And the interesting thing is that works on very big scale stuff. And it's just as true for our small business community as well. Business planning, what do we need? Got to think about everything we've already discussed. It's about planning to protect your investment time and resources and predict a really strong return for you. It's about setting targets for you and the business, and notice they're not the same thing. You are running the business, and the business is actually separate to you. You make the business happen, so you have to set targets for both of you. You have to do things, and the business has to achieve things. You have to set targets, and it's about reducing the risk of failure. As I said at the beginning, the more you can learn about the basics of a quality, successful startup, the greater the likelihood of your success. You lessen the likelihood of your failure. Building great business plans do really simple things. Help you focus, help you stop getting distracted, and get you down all those things in your head on a piece of paper. And by the way, it's not a long document. This is a really short, punchy document. It's a reminder. Helps you sell the ideas and business and benefits to others, helps potentially persuade investors, helps reassure you that actually you're on plan when things haven't gone quite so well in a month. Yes, actually you predicted that. Helps you monitor progress. It enables you to reevaluate. And by the way, the plan needs to be updated regularly because you might need to change direction or emphasis very quickly, but at least the plan's informing you when and how to do that. Little theory I have, Christopher Columbus wasn't a great planner, although he did find the New World. When he set off, he didn't know where he was going. When he arrived at the New World, he didn't actually know where he was. And when he eventually got home, he couldn't actually tell anybody where he'd been. It probably wasn't the best plan in the world, was it? We need a really strong plan. So we know where we're going, we know when we've arrived, and we can come back and tell other people that we can make it bigger and better. That's what our plan's about. Typical business plan, what do we need in it? Really simple. Executive summary, a vision statement, what's the business all about, what are we achieving, what's the structure, what's the people, experience, quality, what guidance and support are we receiving, what red tape, that's all that regulatory stuff, what have we identified, what do we need to do, who's the market, who's the customer, how are we going to get it there, how are we going to do all those marketing things, how are we going to make sure we drive fantastic sales volumes and wow the customer, how are we going to manage our money, what premises or resources do we need. That's it. That's your business plan in a nutshell. I'd like to introduce the 12-week program, intensive 12-week startup program that we're going to be delivering here. And I'm sat here today in MBCIE, Ludhiana. We're bringing some of the leading business experts from India and the UK to actually come and share with you their experience. This isn't read from a textbook. This isn't an academic exercise. This is to help you take an idea through the 12-week program to a product or service that can be pitched for investment and leave you with that learning and knowledge for the rest of your business career. I just think that's so exciting, and I do hope some of you can join us. I'd like to just share with you one last thing, if I may, if it'll work. Probably have to come out of that. You might have to help me here, VJ. Looks like we're working.
Okay,
Just
so
wanna
Bernard, I think the screen is not shared. You can share your try to share your
Thank you.
screen.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, mate. So, this is our. Whoa, what happened there?
Sorry, I think.
Someone took my sharing off.
Go on, try again.
So this is our website. This is the startup program.
Bernard, sorry. Yeah, now it's visible. Yeah, go on.
So this is startup. They're starting a business page on our Mundial Birmingham City Centre of Innovation and Enterprise website. I just want to share with you one last thing, which is an introductory video to the program, which I hope you will find inspirational.
Bernard, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Just like to say a big thank you to everybody for your patience in letting me talk to you today. I hope this offers some insight, and I hope we can see some of you again and help you on your journeys.
Thank you, Bernal. Shafrin.
Yes, sir. On
You
behalf
can.
of our college, I give a hearty word of thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Vijay Venkatesh, and Mr. Curren for accepting our invitation and for being here with us today. Your thoughts have truly inspired us. We also thank Dr. N. Pugalindi from Entrepreneurship Development Cell, PEC, for enlightening us with the awareness program on business startup. Thank you, students, for attending this session. Have a good day.
Yes. Thank you, Shafrin. Dear students, very happy to see you all. I especially thank our director, Dr. Sakti Kumar sir, for initiating this program in our college, especially with our Birmingham University. I thank Venkatesh Vijay, who is always very eager and interested doing something for our student society and for Panimala group of institutions. Thank you, Vijay sir. I think the time is 5 o'clock there or 5:30. Bernard sir and Vijay sir, thank you very much for initiating this program for our students, sir. Actually, the dear students, we have totally 30 seats that is allocated for this program, and our director have committed with 20 seats for our students, especially for our Panimalar group of students. So I utilize all the students to utilize this program to ensure that you are attending the training program in Ludhiana. And then totally 416 students from Panimalar Engineering College have registered, and 125 students from Panimalar Institute of Technology have attended the awareness program. Bernard sir, the program is telecasted live in YouTube, and also we have telecasted the program in MS Teams, sir.
Wow.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And then, so in this total amount of students, so we have nearly 500 to 600 students, but the total number of seats is only 20. So, what the entire team they have planned is they have planned to conduct give a task to the students. So the task will be shared to the students through a PPT, and some 3 or 4 days time will be. I think next within the next Wednesday. Okay, that's the coming Wednesday. You have to submit the task. After seeing the PPT, you have to make a business plan, and you have to submit the plan to that mail ID is given there. So the representatives of Birmingham University, Vijay sir and Bernard sir and myself will be discussing, and finally we'll be selecting the number of participants those who are going to attend in the Ludhiana training program. If you have any queries, you can send in the chat box is open for you. I think the chat box is open. You can type. The students already type some doubts. If you have any doubt, you can type. We'll be waiting for another 5 minutes. Vijay sir, if there is any question posted, I'll be reading the question, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate the opportunity today. I'm passionate. India is a wonderfully entrepreneurial country, and I'm just passionate to help these people to be successful.
That's brilliant. So just to add on Puglendi's whatever that he is mentioning to the students, I think it's a great opportunity for you guys, and we wish we can get you on board, but I think it's just the limited seats that were into consideration. So please do wait for this email to go from Puglendi sir, and then you can look into the task. And
are we going to use the business model canvas as I shared? Fantastic. I think that's a good model. Thank you.
Yeah. So we will take it from there.
Vijay sir, just I want to add what the director sir shared with me when in the last meeting, sir. So if the students, so how many students are selected? So the amount, how many of you? I have shared what is the link? Bernard now shared the link. I have shared in our group now. You can see that video, and also you can see that link. What is course duration? What is the content of the course? Everything is shared clearly, and a YouTube video is there. It's a very excellent and inspiring video. You go through that. There you can see the CEO of OYO. A lot of persons, the inspiring and the young entrepreneurs. The detail is there. Kindly, students, you go and see. It will be very inspiring to you. That page itself is very. You will have a very curiosity to see that page. Sir, as per our director opinion, he told if the number of students is going to be 10 or 20, the 50% of the amount will be charged by us, the management. So very happy to announce students. So the what is the amount that they are charging? 50%. So that's going to be shared by our director. Okay, through our management. Wow. Please, sir. So use this opportunity. And also at least I should see some 5 or 10 companies that should be coming the top 10 or something in India. Thank you, students. Thank you, Venkatesh Vijay sir, for always encouraging and with us. Bernard sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for inspiring speech, sir. Thank you very much,
sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can end the live, sir. Thank you very much, Sadish sir. Sorry, sir. I forgot to thank you, sir. Sadish sir and Maladi madam. At this moment, I want to thank. So thank you, Sadish sir, for organizing this program. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, sir. Thank you, students. If you have any queries, you can. I will. I have sent the mail to you. You can revert to me if you have any doubt. Thank you.